Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Want to talk all about Ratchet and Clank on PC. Not necessarily like the PC performance, the game itself. Yo, the game is great. I highly recommend it. I played it on the PlayStation 5 2 years ago. It was awesome then. It's awesome now. The game is great. Insomniac kills it when it comes to game development and, you know, what they do with video games. Insomniac's one of the best developers on the planet. Nixxes does a great job with their PC ports. My experience with Ratchet has been super positive. I didn't read through the Steam reviews or anything like that. I saw it sitting at 85%. Generally speaking, if a game is sub 90% and it's at the quality level of a Ratchet, like, I just assume that it has to be some issues with the PC version. I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I think Ratchet's a great game. But, you know, some people might disagree with me on that. I thought Ratchet Rift Apart was fantastic. However, we do have to talk about what's really making the rounds right now, and that the game is performing lackluster on PC in terms of a sales standpoint. As noted on Game World Observer, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart peaks at less than 9,000 concurrent players on Steam, third worst PC launch for PlayStation game. I would have to imagine the other ones that are around this level, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, obviously that was like, you know, like, who thought that game was gonna do good? Like, nobody thought that game was gonna do good. It's on PC, it's a decent game, but $60 for Sackboy? I think it was 60. Like, no, bro, no, that ain't gonna work. Uncharted didn't do gangbuster numbers. Uncharted was another one that was like, bro, they're dropping Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy without the first three. Like, what are we doing here? And then, maybe Returnal was around the same level. I feel like Returnal had a little bit more, buzz than, this. So, you know, those are like the four titles that I can think of right off the top, that did lackluster. You've had Horizon, you've had Days Gone, you've had Spider-Man, God of War, Miles Morales, Last of Us Part 1 even, with that being an abomination of a PC port. That did fairly well, being an abomination. So, what's the issue with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart? Well, let's talk about a litany of issues. First of all, Ratchet is one of those franchises that, while I am incredibly nostalgic with, and it's going to resonate with me, Ratchet's never had a presence on PC, so you're dropping a game that is deeper into the franchise, and again, you don't have the other titles to work with. Now, that can work in certain instances, like with God of War. It worked because that was a fresh start for God of War. Yes, it took some of the elements from the earlier games, but everybody knows that God of War 2018 was kind of a new start for God of War as a franchise. Also, God of War and Ratchet & Clank, look, I love the Lombax, I love Clank, and I love all that, but God of War and Ratchet & Clank, as far as IPs are concerned, they are wildly different in terms of appeal. God of War is on a different level. You also have to ascertain the fact that, look, this game came out 2 years after its initial launch and at the price of $60. You can get away with that sometimes. You can get away with that when it comes to a Spider-Man. You can get away with that when it comes to a God of War. These games that are going to offer you a decent bit of content and have an absurd amount of fandom attached to them, and they are well-known IPs. It worked with Horizon as well. I believe Horizon was $50 at launch. Worked less so with Days Gone, but kind of worked there as well. But, you're talking with Ratchet & Clank, a game that's 12 to 15 hours long, and that's $60, and that's 2 years old. You're talking about, like, all of the elements working against this game for it to really pop off. It's one thing where it came out 2 years ago on the PlayStation 5. Yeah, it was $70, but the PlayStation 5 didn't have a lot of major exclusives at that point. Remember that a lot of these games were, like, cross-gen and whatnot back then, and, Ratchet was one of those games that really showcased what the PS5 did. By the way, we don't even have Ratchet Rift Apart sales numbers on PS5. I can't imagine that it did exceedingly well, probably better than the PC release, but the PC release again came out 2 years later, $60, etc., but I don't think, you know, the expectation could have never been there that Ratchet is gonna do well. It's very obvious to me. Maybe, like, sometimes I'm a little bit off the money, but I feel like it should be relatively easy to assess which games are gonna do well, which games are not gonna do well. Last of Us Part 1, even though that's a game that initially came out in 2013, it's Last of Us. It's like one of the biggest gaming IPs that PlayStation has put out over the last decade or so, and it was obvious that that game was going to do well. Obviously, it was also hampered by its garbage, horrendous PC port, but even then, it did fairly well, and I think it was peaking in the, you know, like 20, 30,000 players on Steam, so that's still relatively decent, given how bad it was, which, by the way, that game now is, like, really good, so If you want to check it out, I'd probably wait for a discount, but it's a much better experience. Ratchet, on the other hand, it doesn't have the name value that a lot of the other Sony IPs have. So I think that, you know, hating on its, like, how well it did on PC, I see some people, you know, you got the Twitter hot take machines being like, Sony's gotta stop porting their games to PC. First of all, you have to realize that the investment that it requires to bring one of these games to PC is very, very low. It's not like they're creating a ground-up experience. It's not like it takes $100 million to bring Ratchet Rift Apart to PC. Not only that, yes, it's priced at $60 right now, but Sony's not stupid. They know how this game works. The people that really want to play this game are gonna buy it right out the gate, and then what happens after? Oh, it gets discounted, and you have perpetual residual revenue for years and years and years. So while it is at 9,000 players right now, a year from now, it's gonna drop down to 30 bucks. More people are gonna buy it, and you're talking about revenue that you're gonna generate year after year after year, and that's what Sony needs to do. Their games are not getting cheaper. They need more revenue streams for these games, and they need revenue streams where it's not a big cost of investment, and bringing these games to PC, it's not a big cost of investment comparatively to creating a new game. So even if Ratchet doesn't do Spider-Man numbers right out the gate, it's still overall gonna be a successful venture for them, and I guarantee you, while a game like Ratchet doesn't, you know, light the world on fire, a game like Ghost of Tsushima, when that does inevitably come to PC, probably sometime this fall, that's gonna have a much different reception than Ratchet did. There's gonna be games like a Ghost of Tsushima, like a Horizon Forbidden West, like a God of War Ragnarok that are gonna do exceedingly, exceedingly well on PC at a higher price point. Ghost of Tsushima can be priced at $50, and I still think it's gonna do well. Even at 60 bucks, I think it's gonna do well. Forbidden West, I think if it's priced at $60, God forbid $70, maybe they can get away with that if they include the Burning Shores expansion, but, you know, that's a game that can do well. God of War Ragnarok is gonna do well. You know, I can think, like, I'm trying to think of, like, a PlayStation release recently that hasn't lit the world on fire. What was, like, a big 2022 game? Like, even Gran Turismo, if that comes to PC, I feel like that'll do fairly well. It's just, like, you're talking about a 12-hour game for $60. Like, the expectations need to be in line when it comes to... And it's not like, I love Ratchet. Don't get me wrong. I love Ratchet. I grew up with this franchise, but it's not that big. It was huge in the PS2 days, but... You're talking about in the PlayStation 3 era, even with Future, it fell off a lot. Those games have not been preserved. You're talking about in the PS4 era, where it was like pretty much completely absent outside of Ratchet 2016. Ratchet lost a lot of momentum over the years, and Rift Apart, as good as it was, you know, it's not a game that really brought Ratchet back to the forefront. And it came at a time when the PS5 wasn't even readily available. So I don't think there should be that much stock put into the game doing lackluster. Like, what were you guys expecting if you expected Ratchet to do exceedingly well? For me, it was just nice to see a game like this on PC, but with a game like this, 12 to 15 hours, with how much competition there is on Steam and these PC platforms, you gotta keep your expectations in line. There's gonna be a few titles that are gonna come out 2 years after it initially came out. It's a port, $60, 12 hours. Like, this ain't like it's the Resident Evil 4 remake. Even if RE4 remake can be completed rather quickly, that was a remake that released day and day, and it's one of the most iconic games of all time. Ratchet Rift Apart is not that. So I think there's a little bit too much hyperbole thrown around, like, oh, Sony's gotta stop bringing their games to PC. And again, maybe I get too invested into the Twitter. Like, bro, my Twitter algorithm is absolutely in the gutter, and it's totally my doing, because I get so into the weeds of, like, the fanboy wars and people. I'm in it for, like, yo, Twitter can be, like, a fun time, but sometimes I feel like, you know, I see all these hot take machines, and I'm just like, man, I really gotta get off. I gotta preserve my mental sanity. But I just wanted to bring this video to you guys that I don't think that this is an omen, a bad omen for PlayStation games coming to PC. It's just, you gotta keep your expectations in line. The novelty is gone. It's like, if Ratchet Rift Apart, if this game came out 3 years, I know Ratchet wasn't even out 3 years ago, but for the sake of argument, if this came out 3 years ago where PlayStation games on PC was still very much a novelty, it probably would have done a lot better. Now, that novelty, that air of freshness, that's kind of gone. It's not gonna be, every game does gangbuster numbers, and it's like, bro, we saw the Sackboy numbers. Did Sackboy not doing all that well, lessen Sony's desire to bring these games to PC? No, and they're bringing their back catalog of titles that are just gonna perpetually generate revenue for them, and it's gonna still be an effective model. I know everybody gets focused on the player count, and like I am in this video as well, but I don't think that this is that big of a deal comparatively to what it's being made out to be. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Let me know if you played Ratchet. I'm having a great time with it, still very much enjoying it, and thanks to Sony for providing me a copy of the game. Did very much appreciate that, but that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.